This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
It's Juneteenth today.
It's Juneteenth.
And in honor of Juneteenth, we got Governor David Paterson. He's going to tell us what it's all about. And and David Paterson, Dominic Carter, on Wednesday, and we didn't talk about Juneteenth that day. We all were addressing, and George Venizelos was there too, and we were addressing the 100 black men. And Governor David Paterson, tell us about the 100 black men, the conference we had.
Well, the 100 Black Men were founded, the organization was founded in the late 50s by Jackie Robinson, who had just retired from Major League Baseball, and David Dinkins, who inevitably would become mayor of the city of New York, and Percy Sutton, who became the only black owner of a radio station. So they really wanted to have a high-profile, prestigious organization that could challenge at times the government or the school system or whoever was getting in the way of denying African-American boys and girls the right education that they should get, and obviously when people grew up, the types of jobs they could get. And what I've always thought was incredible about them, John, is that they are the most polite, wonderful people, the way they treated us the other day, and I just have always been proud. I was a member, but I had to get out at one point while I was governor because every time they had an event, they thought I should come to it, and I couldn't do that. But and they've done it quietly without demagoguing the leadership of this country or any place else. And that's when you want to make change. That's the way to make change.
Governor, we were trying to figure out the origin of Juneteenth. Now, I think that the official thing is that this is when the last of the African-American slaves were freed at the end of the Civil War. Are there other incidents, other moments in history that Juneteenth is supposed to be marking?
Well, because we didn't have radio and television and phones and the type of communication that we have now, much of how Juneteenth began may never really be known. But what I think in the last few years people have agreed upon is this day in June, which does correspond to what was apparently the final release of slaves in 1866.
Okay. So, but is it supposed to be a celebration? Because if it's a celebration, that makes a lot of sense. And we're certainly marking the stain of slavery on the nation's history. But is it supposed to be more of a celebration or more of a day of repentance?
I think it's a celebration in the sense that these individuals who were finally freed never thought they'd ever be free. So there was a lot to celebrate. Now, in terms of why it took so long to free some of the slaves after the South declined and the Civil War was over, that's just an example of continued mistreatment of people who never did anything to hurt anybody.
That's right. You and I, we go every weekend on the Left versus the Right, and we talk about a lot of different topics, and we really get into history a lot, which is a lot of fun. And of course, this is a history-based federal holiday now that started in 2021. Talk about how slavery hurt more than just the soul of the nation, but the economics of the nation. I'm making some of these history moments, talking about, for example, the Transcontinental Railroad, which didn't run through the South because Lincoln couldn't run it through the South, which would have been an easier geographically type path. I mean, slavery didn't actually help the economy of the South. It didn't. I mean, obviously, the slaves helped build the economy of the South, but they could have done a lot more had they been paid laborers, correct?
Yeah, Jake, I've never heard anybody put it as succinctly as you just did. that's exactly what happened. And even in 100 years later, segregation, while the Southerners, enjoyed the fact that they could ride the buses without any black people on them, those economies of those states, Alabama, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, all of them, their economies were in the toilet because of the segregation that they continued after World War II, when a lot of the other states had basically given it up. So you couldn't be more.
By the way, breaking news: Israel and Hezbollah renew ceasefire. So does that mean the Iran talks are back on again? They didn't even take the weekend off.
An hour ago, John.
They didn't take the weekend off. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm shocked. There's gambling in this place.
John, I heard it was breaking news that I heard an hour ago that they were back at each other's throats and that Iran was closing the Straits of Hormuz. I just think that there was a better way to negotiate this. And the one thing you have to do when you are the United States, who are the people who are trying to create freedom for others all around the world, is you've got to have some of these negotiations right out in the open, because they would really expose what Iran is doing. What they basically did is they let the president have this negotiation. They waited about 24 hours, and then they're picking and choosing and saying that we already violated it.
Yeah,
I am really sorry.
Yes, but they will not attack. They will not attack a vessel, because they know that if they attack a vessel, that Trump is going to go back at them double coupons.
But John, their mentality is so much different than ours. It would be like right up their alley to go and do something like that, because we wouldn't expect it.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did it.
Yep.
Well, I have an idea, because this thing keeps changing. I think we should have Joe Nolan do reports on these ceasefires being on and off, like he does traffic reports, because it's every 10 minutes. I don't want to give Joe more work, but
you got to tune into WABC, because it's hour by hour. We report hour by hour.
I think we should do it like traffic reports. The current ceasefire on or off.
We're the first to do it as well.
Yeah, there's a backup on the LIE and the ceasefire's on. That's the kind of reports we need, and that's the frequency of it. All joking aside, the Democrats running for office, even here in New York City, are running as if they're running for office in Gaza. We have this Darlisa Chevalier, and all they do is talk about Gaza and the Palestinians. What about getting better jobs and getting the subways to run better? I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, my God. I just saw a commercial from, obviously, a Democrat who's running. I guess he's running for, they never really said what he's running for. He's telling Trump that he's going to be impeached, and they showed a picture of the Capitol. This is where they're going to hold the hearings and that kind of thing. There is really a misguided sense that is pervasive in the Democratic Party, and I'm happy to hear that one of Obama's people that helped him run campaigns and that kind of thing is back in the city and starting to talk to other Democrats. Judge Weinberg and I have talked about putting a group of people together. It's starting to look silly. It's starting to look ridiculous. We're looking as ridiculous now as the people who ran those southern states back in the 60s.
It's not our issue. It's crazy.
Governor, so I have to say, we have a lot of work to do to try to restore the Democratic Party in this city, in this state, in this country to sanity and common sense, because the momentum seems to be on the part of the Democratic Socialists and the Islamists. And how do we handle this? And how do we, and as Jake has pointed out, how do we wake up the people? And we were talking to Congressman King about this. Wake up the people to what's happened to the Democratic Party. Because if the Democratic Party has lost its soul, it will hurt America.
It's obviously a conversation you and I've had a few times, but I do think that some people have got to start standing up and taking them on. And if you take them on in the right venue, most reasonable people will find some of these antics to be callow and puerile and completely against what the whole idea of government and even the whole idea of having elections and political parties is about.